As the FAA reauthorization continues to be controversial and held up over that one provision about privatization, all the rest seems to have pretty much bipartisan and industry agreement. Is there anything that we can be doing to help speed along this drone package delivery? We just see it happening every day right now. It's a reality in Europe, and we seem to be falling further and further behind.
Let me start by highlighting that we are leading when it comes to integration of drones into aerospace. Many countries have chosen to segregate, but what we're trying to do is integrate, which puts us ahead of other countries. Having said that, as it was mentioned several times, there's tremendous amount of energy, passion, and enthusiasm amongst the companies to move forward with these types of initiatives. Mm-hmm. Frankly, FAA does not have a choice than to continue to work with those parties and move things forward. So we are at the point right now that the demands are upon us to respond, and we are doing so. We're doing it in terms of partnership for safety plans with the specific companies that are in that particular business. We are trying to learn from their work and see what we could do as we move forward. At this point, I can tell you that that is a high priority for us.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I know Nevada has one of the test centers in the state, and there's a lot of potential use for drones there. I know some of our utility companies would like to see them used in remote areas because that would be very helpful out of line of sight. Some of the casinos would like to use drones to deliver drinks poolside. I mean, let's be creative. I noticed even in one of the big fashion houses during Fashion Week, they had drones going down the runway carrying ladies' purses. So, I mean, it's endless. But I appreciate that y'all have made that a priority. One thing, too, that concerned me was this rule of the administration, this 2-for-1 executive order on the development of regulations and how that affects the drone industry. I wrote Mr. Mulvaney about that to ask him, and he wrote me back, and he said that he thinks maybe that he says that the OMB believes that maybe the rulemaking that expands the use of drones would be considered deregulatory, so wouldn't come under that arbitrary 2-for-1 elimination. I wonder if y'all have accepted that. Have you received that directive? And does the DOT agree with it and the FAA?
Yes, we are following the directives of the outlined in the executive order. And when you view the requirements in there or the directive, you're looking at two things. First, safety, and the other one's enablers, rules that are enablers. In those cases, we are moving forward with those. And in area of what the rules that are considered deregulatory, which there are a number of them identified by both industry and other sources. In those cases, we have to answer two questions: what's the impact on safety if we go forward with that action, and what's the impact on that on FAA's roles and responsibilities? Can we still do that job? Those things go into the consideration, and at this point, we are following that guidance.
So you don't feel like that 2-for-1 executive order is hindering you in the development of drones or passing regulations that are needed?
Not so far. I think what it does is that it forces us to do a lot more planning, because we need to know what rules we've got going and what are some of the deregulatory items, and be able to match them together so that the net effect is a positive in terms of cost, benefit, and in terms of benefits, or neutral. And that's the work that we have to do in advance before our regulatory agenda is published.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Julie's time has expired. Glad I get a chance to ask my questions. Many that I had actually have been asked already. So it's been pretty interesting to listen to some of my colleagues. My good friend, Mr. Larson, and I, we kind of stopped when we heard about technology delivering drinks to the pool. So we would like to get some opinions on, can you push that technology to the head of the line with your risk-based approach, sir? A simple yes or